Maybe a second. Welcome to PackReacts. I'm your co-host, Jeremy Hadler, along with Mike. And tonight we are having a special guest, the man who broke the news of Aaron Rodgers' thumb injury before Ian Rappaport reported it.
You know how the story originally broke?
No.
It was this Packers podcaster named Big B who was on his Make-A-Wish weekend,
Big B.
asked Rodgers, and then tweeted it. Like, scooped all of us. It was amazing.
Shout out, Big B.
Big B. Love you, Big B. Oh.
Great. I mean, I was kind of annoyed, but good for him.
Whoa. Jesus Christ.
Well, I mean, you know, I want
Make-A-Wish.
Yeah,
Make-A-Wish.
down,
You
asshole.
I was annoyed.
Yeah, it's one scoop, prick.
A make
Good job, Big B. Anyway.
Big B, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right, as Mike and me always do here on the channel, we got our special guests, as we've had before. We've had with Packers Place on Instagram. We've had Matt Ramage come on before. And so before we start all the questions, we always like to start with our first main question. Big B, how did you become a Packers fan?
Well, my entire family is a Packers fan, so I pretty much got born into it, and it also helps that my grandpa is a season ticket holder, so that helped a lot in the decision making.
Nice. Now, when did you, like, by the age you start becoming a Packers fan? Like when they won the Super Bowl last time, around that time there?
Man, I'm trying to think. I think it was around like 2015 was when I truly started like understanding and getting really into Packers football. So I'd say around 2015, 2016.
Okay, nice. Mike, do you have a question?
So do you remember the Super Bowl, or was that kind of before your time as a Packers fan?
Yeah, I do remember coming out of my room and seeing Nick Collins kneeling in the end zone, but that's literally all I can remember.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well,
Big B, could you explain? Some of the folks might know, but how did you get to meet the Aaron Rodgers journey? How did that all happen for you?
Yeah, well, 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer, and like the first week, my main doctor told me that I would be eligible for a Make-A-Wish. So finally, just a few weeks ago, my Make-A-Wish finally happened after a super long wait, and all the NFL protocols were finally uplifted. So I got to do my Make-A-Wish for the Cowboys game and spent 5 days in Green Bay, and it was a blast.
Mm-hmm. Quick question for that. Did you get Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur's phone number by any chance from that, or no?
I did not. Looking back on it, I probably should have gotten at least Matt LaFleur's phone number, but you know, I live close enough to Green Bay where I have a lot more chances at it this offseason.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to go off, like, you posted this on your Instagram page, which was you have a picture of Aaron Rodgers' COVID toe, which I find it hilarious. Right? Hold on. Right here is where I love this. How did you get to do this, or did they provide you with that photo?
Yeah, well, I printed off from Walgreens, but
Nice.
People who are in the comments right now, Nate and Joey, made me print made me print that out and get it signed because they had the bright idea of me printing that out so Rodgers would never forget me. And I think I accomplished that mission not because of that said picture.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
it definitely did. And shout out to Walgreens there for the great
yes.
photo.
Yeah. What was the message he was sending, like, here for you?
Let me go on my phone real quick because I got it on here. It's kind of hard to see, and I kind of regret not bringing a silver Sharpie. But it says, "Thanks for being not only a supportive fan, but an inspiration to all of us. Glad you're feeling better."
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And that's awesome there with, like, the Super Bowl trophy of Aaron Rodgers. That's pretty awesome too.
Yes.
That's pretty awesome.
So did he walk around like the Hall of Fame and all that with you, or did you just took the photo and the trophies?
Well, after their practice ended on what day was it? Saturday. He came up to the the other family and my family and said hi and such and give a handshake. And he walked me to the huddle area where they're doing their huddle, where I posted that on Twitter so you can see that entire thing. And then when we got back inside Lambeau, he came and sat down for like 20-30 minutes, had lunch. We had a nice little conversation, and then we took that picture afterwards.
Nice. What is
That's
your
awesome.
relationship
That's a really
with
cool experience.
What is your relationship with Cheesehead TV? I like to know because you always, every time I'm watching Cheesehead TV, Aaron Nag will say "Big B" in the chat every time. What is that relationship like with Cheesehead TV?
Yeah, well, it really started when they did the first season of Packers Trivia. Like, I love Packers Trivia. I'm a big Packers history nerd, so that was right up my alley. And that's kind of where the connection started to form with Aaron Nagler. And I just kept popping in the chats like every tried to every day, and it just kind of grew over like a year or so. And also helped because 5 years ago, I had Aaron Nagler sign one of these footballs. I think it's that one right there with like a bunch of players' autographs on it. And he really didn't want to sign it, but I made him sign it because I really enjoyed all of his content. But now we're big friends, so it's kind of a cool story.
Nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say, actually, I think I was in that Packers trivia, and I remember him just going Big B, and who's this guy named Big B? And there you go. So,
Yes.
yeah, it's a great name. It's very easy off the tongue. So,
yeah.
What do you call it? Yeah, I definitely think I was part of that. Actually, those Packers trivias are really fun. I like doing it as much as I can.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like I think I've only gotten the podium one time. That was for one question, and then the rest I was just terrible because like people would just be spamming right away, and they would get the answer before I could like type my first answer in. But,
yeah, some people in that is really good. It's crazy how good some people are.
Yeah.
I just remember there was this one guy, and I don't know if you guys remember this guy. You guys remember the guy Nine Noom or something?
Yeah.
This is a few years back. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He kept asking or answering all the same. I think he would give the answer to all of them, and he won that time. And the next game, I actually did pretty well, but I changed my name from like my profile, like Arvo15, to Nine Noom is a cheater or whatever. I think Aaron got it.
Oh yeah.
That was me. I don't know if you remember that, but it was only
Yes.
one. What do you call it? One game I did that for, but it was pretty funny because the guy was definitely cheating the whole time. I was not Nine Noom, Joey. No, I was Nine Noom was a cheater. I was not cheating that time. I was playing well.
Yeah, that's funny because I always wondered who that was. So that's pretty cool.
Nine Noom is a cheater?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's me. Yeah. Well, I was not Nine Noom though.
Yes.
I am not cheating, so don't want to put that one out there.
What after you watched Aaron Rodgers get taken out of the game, what were your thoughts on Jordan Love coming to the game for his first time with against not his first start, but he comes into the game and they're down, but he's everyone thinks the game's over, and then somehow he makes it into a contest. What were your thoughts on Jordan Love in that game?
Yeah, I thought he looked a lot better than he did last year versus the Lions and versus the Chiefs. I think he looked a lot more calm, composed in the pocket, and was really really fluid. You could tell he was getting the ball out in rhythm. And I was really impressed what I saw from Jordan versus the Eagles. And it wasn't like the Eagles were playing prevent defense either. Like they were even playing harder on Jordan, as Darius Slay said in his podcast. So that makes me even more confident that Jordan has the tools to be a actually decent starter in the NFL. And I don't want to say I hope we get eliminated from the playoffs soon so then we can see Jordan play a little more games, but we're probably going to be in playoff contention until Miami. So at least we'll have 2 games full of hopefully of Jordan Love. So that will be fun.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the main thing from him, and this was kind of what we saw from Rodgers back when he came in for Favre during the Cowboys game. I don't want to draw too many parallels to that, but I just wanted to see confidence and poise from him, and I think that's what he kind of showed. He found Christian Watson over the middle like that, just making plays and showing he can command the offense is something I really saw from him last game. So hopefully he keeps that up because that's when you start building. When you put 1 game out there, 2 games out there, and you get the confidence behind you. Look at Christian Watson. now he's starting to arrive. So definitely like what I see, and I agree with you, Brandon. I think the sooner we're eliminated, the better for us. One, because we'll get a better draft pick, and two, we'll see Jordan Love out there, which at this point is really, if that, we have to make a decision at the end of the year, right? Yeah. Whether to keep him or let him go or trade him or whatever. And in order to make that decision, the more information we have, the better. So I think that's probably in all of our best interests to see Jordan Love as much as we can. Obviously, the best case scenario would be win the Super Bowl, but I don't think anyone in their right mind would say that's possible at this point. So,
hey, I mean, you never know. We got Aaron Rodgers under center, so a lot of ball game left.
Right? That's true.
Yeah.
So,
like with Jordan Love, like it was awesome watching him get to play. I feel like, I mean, I know Mike said this previously on PackReacts, is like Packers like in the middle of like the river. You have to go either you're going all forward or you're going backwards. You can't be in the middle. Do you think that the Packers should rebuild, or you still think they should be contending no matter what at this point, like even the season or like in the future years?
Well, I think we almost have no choice this offseason but to do like a mini rebuild, not a full-on rebuild. I would last offseason, I wish we did a full-on rebuild and just like clean house a little bit. But I feel like with Aaron Rodgers under center, there is no rebuilding, and there always will try to put out a contending team. And that's just how it is when you have this amazing quarterback under center. Like, you never want to just rebuild, especially at this point in his career. Like, it is just win now until he retires.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think if you were going to rebuild, it had to be last year. That's kind of like the clean break point with Rodgers, where, you know, I think we all love Rodgers. He's my favorite player, but we also want to be realistic. We're Packers fans first, right? And I think last year was the clean breaking point. This year, it's kind of he retires, and if he doesn't want to retire, then you have to bring him back because there's no way it's going to work cap-wise otherwise. And like you said, if you have Rodgers under center, you need to be as close to all in as possible. And it was tough this year because, you know, I think our receiving core had a lot of work to do. The offensive line had a work to do. And it's kind of hard to do that all in one draft class. Now that we have another draft class coming up, hopefully a top 10 pick, maybe we can get a big, you know, top 10 offensive lineman. Christian Watts, Romeo Doubs has another year to develop. And maybe, you know, we can field a better team next year. Hopefully, maybe we'll get another defensive coordinator and actually have a defense that wants to, you know, play as a cohesive group. So I think, you know, next year definitely is going to be another different year. I think we have a shot. But in the long run, I do think we need to rebuild as well, whether that be next year or the year after. I do think there's a lot of holes in this team. In order to see sustained success like we've seen, we're going to have to, you know, start anew very soon, whether it be this offseason or next offseason. But I agree. I think Rodgers will be back next year. I don't think he walks away from $50 million to retire. And you have to – there's no trading him at this point, and there's no eating that cap hit. So he'll be back, and we'll have to be all in next year.
Exactly. Could I get your thoughts on Joe Barry? Do you think he should be fired? What is like, because the Packers have gone through this multiple times as defensive coordinator. We had Dom Capers. That didn't do well. We go with Mike Penn. And everyone wants him out the next year. Now we got Joe Barry. Do you think it's the coaching more of Matt LaFleur, or is it just the defense, like players or defense coordinator?
You know, I think it's a little bit of both, because you can't be a good defense coordinator if your players are not going out there and performing at their high level. Like, we missed 20 tackles versus the Eagles game. But then also on the other hand, you have Joe Barry, who consistently keeps putting players in the wrong position for the best success, like Rasul Douglas being in the slot for most of the start of the year and just having Darnell Savage not play in the slot, and et cetera, like that. I think, but it's definitely a little bit of both. I honestly don't think he will be fired this offseason. We'll have to go through another year of Joe Barry, but you never know. I've been wrong before, but that's just my thoughts.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's interesting how, like you said, Rasul Douglas being not in the slot, and then Darnell Savage probably should have been in the slot. And you could say, well, who's going to be safety? Rudy Ford really played well, and one thing I've noticed, like Andy Herman and Nagler keep saying, is that it's one thing not to have the talent in your team as a coach, but it's another team not to know your talent on the team because we used to see people on Sundays, right? The coaches sit there and they know him face to face. They talk to him. They're in practice every week. How come it took them so long to figure out who they have on their team and make those adjustments? And why are people like us kind of sitting there? And it seems like more often than not, we're the ones right in the situation. So it is kind of crazy that it's taken so long. And these moves that we've been kind of clamoring for the past few weeks happen, and then they end up being the right moves. But the coaches are just too late to the game on it. So I think that's interesting. I agree with you that it's probably a good chance that Joe Barry's back next year. I do think there is an opportunity that probably Jim Leonard maybe doesn't want to go back to Wisconsin after he got passed up on the head coaching job and does decide to come to Green Bay. I mean, he was reportedly offered the Green Bay job, so possibly there's some rekindling there, but who knows? I mean, that'll be to determine. But I do think there's definitely some benefit to starting new in the defense, especially since I think we're gonna have to have a lot of new pieces on the defense. I don't know if Amos is going to come back. Darnell Savage, they picked up his 5th-year option, so he'll be back. But do we really want him back? That's the other question. I think there's a lot of question marks on the defense, and it'll be interesting to see. Even our top players, like where's Kenny Clark been this year? Where's my guy Jair, who I'm wearing his jersey? Like he hasn't been playing well, and I don't know. It's definitely worrisome though.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to get your thoughts on David Bakhtiari. Do you he's gone through the injury process the past 2 years, and Rodgers claims, or I don't know if it was Rodgers or Tom Grassi said he cost them kind of 2 Super Bowls potentially, where if he was healthy, he would have been a huge boost for the Packers to win it. Do you think that he should either get cut, or do you want to keep him on? Because some of the fans say oh, if you cut him, you save a whole lot of cap space. You don't have to worry about that. I just want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, again, I think as long as Aaron Rodgers is on the team, I don't see David going anywhere. We made this mistake multiple times the past decade or so with cutting Rodgers' favorite players. I just can't see them cutting David Bakhtiari or even trading him. He's actually been playing really well this season. When he's been on the field, he's been up there in the top 3 in multiple categories this year, according to PFF. And yeah, I just can't see them cutting him at all.
Okay, I gotcha. Mike, did you have a question for him?
Yeah, I had a few questions. So kind of going back to the Make-A-Wish visit. Can you just walk us through kind of the conversation where Aaron broke the news about his finger or thumb, and kind of how that happened, and also if he knew about the possibility of you being the one to break the news to everyone?
Yeah, well, I don't think he had any idea how big I was on Twitter, and had no idea I have a decent following. Right. So, that was probably a problem. I probably should have never posted it, but I got some big news. I couldn't just keep it to myself, I had to.
Absolutely. No, you're a man of the people here, I think
yes.
That's the right thing to do.
Of course.
Yes, me.
But yeah, when me and Rodgers were walking to the huddle, I just asked him straight up, how's your thumb doing? And he just subtly said, it's broken, but otherwise it's feeling good. And I said, oh wow, at least you can still throw. That's all that matters at this point. And he said, yeah, that's right. So it's just a very simple conversation we had, kind of a starter conversation, pretty much. So nothing special, really.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great question. And I think, I think you definitely did the right thing about, speaking it, because, hey, look, if somebody else would have got to it first, they wouldn't have had, Ian Rappaport. That's how they make their money, right? So, this is the NFL. It's a big business. There's a lot of marketing behind it. And, the only negative, I guess, could be the competitive advantage against the Packers. But, we're out of it anyway, so who cares?
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah,
everyone knows.
I have no regrets tweeting it at all. Not really. I'm not going to say the full detail, but I know multiple people are mad at me inside Lambeau Field. That's all I'll say. So, yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, we got your back. Packers Twitter is, big B fans. Big B fans. Okay. Did you reach out? Did you get reached out to anybody after kind of like you got shouted out by Ian Rappaport on Twitter? Any blue check marks in your DMs? Even though probably half the people in your DMs are blue check marks now because of Elon Musk, but any legitimate blue check marks?
No, just a bunch of just random people like saying, "Oh my God, you were mentioned on Pat McAfee. Oh my God, Ian Rappaport quote tweeted you," and stuff like that. Just my phone was blowing up for like days on end ever since the Make-A-Wish actually got done with. So it's been pretty crazy. I'm surprised my Twitter hasn't like completely broken yet. But
Have you had to shut off the notifications? Like
I
people say when.
actually did not shut off my notifications. I was like
Wow.
really enjoying it, seeing everybody like engaging with my tweets. I always love when my tweets kind of like blow up, like the multiple tweets I've had in the past few weeks. I love just seeing everybody commenting and having discussions in the comments. It's like my favorite part of Twitter.
Yeah, and we were saying that before we went on live that the Packers Twitter and kind of Cheesehead TV being the first one to start this really gave a voice and kind of a platform for Packers fans like us three and Joey and Nate in the comments and anybody else listening to kind of have an avenue to speak to each other and meet each other, and I think that's great. It's something that as you said, like. The Packers players themselves, they don't know about us. They're just, it's a business for them. And, but we actually care. This is our, what we think about all day when we wake up thinking about the Packers and our love for the Packers. So finding other people that really love football and love the Packers specifically has been a great, great thing. Jeremy and I met on vacation once. I was wearing my Packers jersey and we talked for about like 40 minutes at a hotel pool where he's the lifeguard at. I probably almost got him fired for talking to him when he was supposed to watch people.
You were fine. You were fine. I mean, it was after what, the Packers Vikings game, the COVID season, I think it was.
It was the Packers Vikings game week 1. Yep. Yeah, I think it was the COVID. Yep. We didn't know what we were in store for the next 2 years at that point, but it was a wild ride. Our man Aaron got 2 MVPs. I heard on the McAfee show he called himself the COVID MVP. I think that's a good nickname. But it's been great, and definitely thank you for joining the show because our thing here is we would like to get as many Packers fans as possible. You have a platform. We had Matt Ramage, he has a platform, but some people we had. Your other friend Jeremy can't come on last week. Carson, yes, and he has an Instagram, but he was saying that he doesn't have a podcast or any way to like verbally talk about the Packers and get his thoughts out there. So we love to have all fans, whether have a big platform or not, just because I think that's it's a great way for people to just express their thoughts and express their love for the Packers to the world. So. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I guess the other question I had, and this will be the last one about the Make-A-Wish, is I know you put out a tweet out there saying that they reached out to you about your lunch choices. Just curious, what exactly did you have, and was it good? Is the Packers daily lunch at practice good?
Yes, actually, Saturdays are burritos day. So okay. I mean, I tweeted that out. I don't know if you saw, but Saturdays are burritos day for the players, but. The Make-A-Wish kids get to pick out what they want, and you can pretty much say whatever you want. Like the other kid who was with us had like a big ass steak with them, but I didn't want to like do like a steak because I thought that's kind of expensive, but I probably should have just said something like that. But I just got chicken tenders and cheese curds, and they actually went out and got Dr. Pepper for me because I don't have Dr. Pepper there. So yeah, but it was absolutely phenomenal, and that was probably some of the best chicken tenders I've ever had in my life, if I'm being honest.
That's great. And did you eat with the players, or was it just you and your family in the players cafeteria?
Yeah, well, Rogers came and ate lunch with us, so I mean immediately when he walked in the room, like I could not eat because I did not want to embarrass myself or anything in front of him. So I actually just took one bite of food, and then Rogers walked in. I'm like, yeah, I can't eat anymore. I just gotta focus on this conversation I'm about to have. But I warmed it up later, and like I said, it was absolutely phenomenal.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, the steak would not be the thing, the move. Hey, Aaron, I know you're trying to tell me something, but I got to eat the steak right now. So just hold on for a minute. But no, that's great. Yeah, that's really it. And then I don't know, Jimmy, do you have anything else?
I was gonna talk about like the Bears segment, but
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, Brandon, what is your favorite Packers game? It can be the Super Bowl or like an actual regular season game.
Oh man, that is a good question. Um, recency bias. It'd have to be like the Cowboys game from a few weeks ago. The Seattle playoff game in 2019 was my first playoff game I went to, so that's up there as well. And man, I think 2018 I was at the 49ers home game where Mason Crosby had a game-winning field goal.
Nope, I remember that.
So I'd probably say like those three are like in the top three, I would say.
Okay, gotcha.
What about you, Jeremy? You want to go around
Yeah,
town?
I'm not gonna put the Super Bowl because I don't want to be biased and like that's too obvious.
Yeah.
In my top three, this is a game I went to, which was the Packers Bengals game. It was fun. I believe 0-2 so far when I went to the Packers games at all of them. First one I lost to the Lions because they had a kickoff return. Second one was against Andrew Luck and the Colts. This time, I'm like, all right, if I don't win, I'm never going to a Packers game again because I got to get some luck here. And the beauty of that game, it felt like a playoff game. Like absolutely, like the atmosphere was awesome. Where Rodgers throws to Jordy Nelson on that like slant right to the corner, he catches it, and then they go to overtime. They throw to Geronimo Allison, breaks
There he is, Joey.
yeah, he breaks who's it?
Called it.
Pac-Man's ankles, like he breaks them and then he goes down the plane. Like when he caught that whole place exploded. It was just awesome for me. It was like, so that I would definitely put as in my top three. I don't want to rank it really because I can't do that. Another game I went to was the Packers Broncos game, which was like, all right, I get an actual piece of like, I see the defense come alive for once with turnovers and awesomeness. Like that was just awesome to see like a defense come alive. The D train finally sees a Darius Smith, who was on the Packers back then. That was awesome to hear him. Jair Alexander forces a fumble against Noah Fant, picks up and scoops it, tries to go down. Run game was awesome from Aaron Jones. So yeah, that would be one. The other one I will say was the last year game I went to, which was the Packers Vikings game. I know it was against like the backup Viking quarterback, whoever it was, I don't know who, but that was like determining if we got the number one seed. And that was like the Austin was like -1 degrees. Every time I try to film something, my hand was about to get frostbite almost every time on every play. So yeah, that was like awesome. And I didn't realize I get to see Devontae Adams' last touchdown as a Packer there too, which was just sad, but no, that was like a very pretty good game too. I don't know about you,
And you
Mike.
met Leroy Butler before
Yes,
the game, right?
I met Leroy Butler, and I'll show you guys this real quick. I don't know if you did this, Brandon, while you were at the Packers game, which was the Lambeau leap. I did this.
You're lucky you didn't get kicked out.
I was told
It's highly frowned upon.
So I was told. So I got to because the first one I got to do a tour. He couldn't be available. Leroy couldn't be there. So he's available the second tour. So we get our refund money. We go on the second tour. They tell us as soon as we're out there, it's like if you jump over the wall, you will get kicked out of the stadium. You will get kicked out. So I'm like, okay, I'm not doing that again. I'll pick up some grass while I'm at it and get my autograph from Leroy. And I didn't get the autograph, but he like the handout card. So I was like, okay, I'll take it still. I met him, did the Lambeau leap. You know, it was a good dub for me.
Nice. And I'll keep mine short, but I've gone to 2 Packers games at Lambeau. I've been a few games, away. One in Cleveland, a few in New York. But the 2 games I actually went to Green Bay, the opposing team has scored 0 points. It was the Bills game a few years ago and the Seahawks game last year. So for some reason, whenever I go to Lambeau, the other team doesn't score any points. So maybe the answer is I should just go to Lambeau every game. Unfortunately, I don't think that streak would hold. But no, so those are the 2 games I've gone to, both really fun games. But my best experience as a Packers fan, other than the Super Bowl, of course, It was actually the Lions Packers game when Aaron Rodgers threw the Hail Mary to Richard Rodgers in the end zone. And the reason why was I was back in college at the point. I went to my fraternity's party. It was a Thursday night game. And, the game is on in the background. No one really cares. It's New York. And I'm just sitting there in the corner. Everyone's like having a good time. I'm just sitting there watching the game by myself. And, we were going to lose the whole time. People were stopping by like, oh, the Packers are losing. Ha, ha, ha. And then, the game starts to get into the fourth quarter. We start to come back. And then finally, in the final 2 minutes, people start to watch because Rodgers has the ball and they're going down, and they have that penalty with 0 seconds left. People start to go crazy. I'm like, nah, there's no way they're going to score. But at that point, like my whole fraternity was watching the game, and all of a sudden he puts the ball up, and I see Rodgers go up, or Richard Rodgers goes up for the ball, high points it, takes it, brings it down. And all of a sudden, people start screaming. I just jump up and run away, and basically run outside, do like a lap. It was really fun because so many people around there watching. It wasn't just me. I'm sure it would have been not as great of an experience if it was just me in my basement or whatever. But because there was like a whole fraternity of guys watching the game, it was a real fun time. So that was my favorite moment as a Packers fan outside, obviously the Super Bowl. So yeah, great question, Jeremy.
Mm-hmm. I do want to bring up another question for you, Brandon. Who are some of your favorite Packer players of all time? It doesn't have to be top 3, top 5. Just like you can name a few.
Well, of course, got to go with Jamal Williams, my boy Jamal. I wouldn't say we're good friends. I mean, I've talked to him many times over DMs and multiple times. Good friends with his mom and his sister, so I have a pretty decent connection with Jamal Williams. A few other favorites are go back to the 60s with Jerry Kramer, Ray Nitschke. I love those guys a lot. Love Reggie White. He's probably up there with Jamal Williams as my favorite Packer of all time. So those are a few of my favorites.
So remind me, so how did you become a Jamal Williams fan again? Because you're a BYU fan? Is that the case, or is another reason?
Man. I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was Browns game in 2017. The overtime game, Jamal went off, and I just started becoming a fan from there on out. Not a BYU fan, but started to slowly follow BYU since I'm a Jamal Williams fan now.
Got it. So it was purely genuine Packers fandom. It had nothing to do with beforehand. Okay, interesting. Yeah, because you're the number one Jamal Williams fan. So
that is true.
So you reached out to him, or he reached out to you?
Originally, both. I mean, on Instagram, I run a Jamal Williams fan page, so
I didn't know that.
Got a lot of interaction with him on there, and then he messaged me on Twitter, just saying that he supports me and hope I'm doing better. A while back ago when I was in the hospital. So yeah, he's a really nice guy. I love him so much.
Yeah, and I'd love to see his success in Detroit. Obviously we're not the biggest Lions fans here at all, but no, I really love to see his success because, he's came out of nowhere this year. I don't want to say came out of nowhere. Obviously, he's always been a good player, but what was he at 13 touchdowns this year? Is that correct?
Yes.
And that's crazy. And also from the score on Thanksgiving, that's big. Big publicity right there, and he's been great. Also, he's got the fantasy. Like now as a player, right? If you have put up big fantasy numbers, that's huge because your name really gets out there. And that's one thing he never really got in the Packers was that kind of publicity. He was never really a big fantasy target, but now he's putting up big points on fantasy, and I know that doesn't matter as a player when it comes to the team and all that because the team's still not doing that great. But for Jamal personally, I think his stock has really risen. And he's going to get a big deal. I don't know when his contract's up, but I think he's going to get a big contract, whether it be from the Lions or somebody else, because of this year. Because I really think he's showed the type of player he is, which we always knew he was a good player. And I thought the Packers should have tried to keep him at some point. I think the Packers put a little bit too much stock in A.J. Dillon, who I love A.J. Dillon, but I think he's regressed a little bit this year, even though he had a good game against the Eagles. I'll give him that. But Jamal Williams, I think was, he also gave us energy, like him dancing. When I went to the, I think the Bills game. You used to see him, dancing on the sideline. You see him before every game, and it just gives one. It adds the fan engagement to the team. I thought that was really a great thing about Jamal. But two, it just adds to the team camaraderie to have that kind of personality on your team, and it's only a positive personality, right? I doubt anybody was rubbed the wrong way by Jamal Williams. So I really think he's an asset to any locker room, and I think he's definitely missed in Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a great great player to be a fan of and run the fan page for. I did not know that, so that's an interesting thing I learned about you, is that you run the Instagram Jamal fan page. I'll definitely give you a follow after this.
Oh yeah, I've been running that fan page since I believe the 2018 off season, so it's been going for a while now.
Okay. And you're maintaining it through the Lions chapter of his life, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Nice. Well, he's giving you a lot of content to post about, so that's great.
I know, it's so nice actually having a team that utilizes him properly, unlike the Packers.
Right. Yeah, that's the other scary thing about the Packers is, again, we were about saying about the talent on your team that you're not aware of. It's not like he had that talent back on the Packers. It just wasn't tapped. It's kind of like a Micah Hyde situation. Now, I don't think Jamal Williams has had the success that Micah Hyde has had yet, but it's definitely possible, right? If he puts another season like this next year, like that could go down in history as one of the big mistakes the Packers made, where maybe they didn't need to draft AJ Dillon, and they could have got somebody else in that role. Just went with Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams, and instead they decided that Jamal Williams was expendable, and they went with AJ Dillon, and they didn't get somebody else. So who knows? Hindsight's 2020, but it could go down as a mistake, depending if Jamal Williams could put another year like this together.
I've seen that be the case too, where you have like Amari Rogers, then you have the Keyshawn Nixon, which he's been awesome, and they don't realize it. Then with Micah Hyde, and then we go with Jamal Williams. Like, do you think the Packers keep making the mistakes of continuing, or are they going to finally be right at the point? Is all right, we're going to make the adjustment, we're going to fix it. This year has not been the case though. Do you think they will do a better job of that too with it? With Rudy Ford, they don't notice either until he shines. Do you think that will be the case?
Oh man, I'm not even completely sure at this point. It's hard because they've been on the team for so long. Nixon really has been solid in the slot. Also, Rudy Ford has been great, but I just don't understand why they don't see this on the practice field and stuff and say, hey, he seems decent in this position. Why don't we translate or put him out there during a game and see how he translates? I mean, I don't know. I've just given up at this point, and hopefully they fix it at some point.
No, I agree. I think it's kind of out of your hands at this point, and it's what's really baffling to me is, especially with the Keyshawn Nixon, Amari Rogers thing. It's not like Amari Rogers was good at something returning, right? It's Herman said this too. This is not from me. This is from his mouth. But one, he had no upfield ability. If he did catch it, right, he didn't go anywhere. He just ran into somebody. Two, half the time he wouldn't catch it, right? How many times did he muff it and pick it up? Or three, if he caught it and he ran it up the field, and half the time he'd fumble it too. So there was really no redeeming quality of him as a returner, other than the fact of this is maybe the only thing he can do because they weren't giving him any reps as receiver. So it almost seemed like they were just putting him back there because of his draft position, and they really had no other use for him. So they didn't want to admit defeat on that one. When what they should have done was said, hey, we have Keyshawn Nixon. And the other baffling thing is we got the coordinator for he can't. Keyshawn Nixon is because of his what's the special teams Bisaccia, right? Rich Bisaccia.
Yeah,
Sorry, I was blanking
Bisaccia.
Because Rich Bisaccia's experience with him on the Raiders, Keyshawn Nixon is on the Packers. So it shouldn't be a surprise to Rich Bisaccia that Keyshawn Nixon's a pretty decent returner. So why not put him out there quicker? That I don't understand. I don't know if there was some other reason that they didn't put him out there. If that came from Gutekunst, or if it came from LaFleur, we want Rodgers returning the punts. I don't know, but it seems like something's fishy there because if it was just thinking about it, right? Bisaccia knows Keyshawn Nixon. He, put it out there that he wants him on the Packers, and that's why I think the Packers went out and got him. And for some reason, it took this. It took Rodgers getting released after he fumbled the ball to put him out there. So I don't really understand that, and I think that's another red flag about this coaching staff. Like, I love LaFleur; he's a really great guy. I think we all love him, but I don't know. Just there's to me this year especially has kind of shown some of the issues with his coaching style, where it seems like people just kind of slide by, and there's no real motivation in this team to really stay and play as one. I don't know. Like, I think a lot of people are friends with LaFleur, but no one really is scared of him or really respects the coaching staff, and it's not showing on the field when we ever hit adversity. I think in the past few years we didn't really hit adversity, and we got lucky, and we just had the talent on our team to kind of get by. But sometimes the coaching staff really makes their money when you don't have the talent on your team, and you have to make do with what you have. And I just don't see the Packers doing it, and it's just a concern to me. I'm not saying that LaFleur is done. I'm not saying I want to fire him. I'm saying that I think this is something that needs to get fixed, and if it doesn't get fixed, it could be a real problem. So,
yeah, definitely. All right, let's get into our final topic here. Aaron Rodgers and the Chicago Bears. Packers take him on this week. What are your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers heading into this week as he has his broken thumb? He's looking good after they check with his MRI on his ribs and everything. What are your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, well, I'm glad Aaron checked out pretty decently. I mean, as much as he can be healthy at this point. But I'm glad he'll be able to start versus the Bears, and it'll be so much better when Aaron Rodgers beats the Bears when he's like half broken. Like, it'll be just perfect. But this week we have to run the ball. I feel like for once at least, got to do pretty much the Dallas game plan, implement it into the Bears game, and like Chicago's gonna run all over us. So I feel like running the ball, winning the time of possession will really help us. Put this game away earlier than normal, and there'll be a tough matchup, of course. That we're going for the most wins in NFL history at this point, so that will also be probably get both teams fired up before the game and come out and actually play a decent ball game.
Mm-hmm. Now, what's do you have any update of like the Justin Fields? Like, he practiced today. Do you think he's going to play this week?
I would say so. I think with him returning to practice today, almost guarantees him playing this week. And like Justin Fields has like nobody to throw to now that Darnell Mooney is out and on IR. So I mean, they're pretty much just going to run like they normally do. Justin Fields going to have to carry this offense with his legs like every other week, and that's pretty much the only reason why they're relevant at this point.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he was a full participant today. I think he's going to play.
Yeah,
and I think it'll be interesting because the Packers, I think they overperformed in the Eagles game, especially on offense.
Yeah.
But they, one part they really underperformed was, the running defense. So this is another good test here with Justin Fields, who I think, maybe even be more talented than, the Eagles in terms of running. So I think the Packers have a tough test in front of them. And I think, it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of have the adversity last week and kind of bounce back from it. I think it'll be a good show on Barry, see how he can put this team together. And we'll see what happens. But I think, hopefully Fields does go, because I kind of want to see how this defense reacts to him being out there. I don't want to see the Bears at short strength, because at this point, I don't really care if the Packers win or not. I just want to see some progress. Yep. And I want to see them, I just want to see them get better and take adversity and get better because of it and not regress. So we'll see. But I'm not too worried about the Packers' offenses. I think Rodgers will play, like Brendan said, and I think I want to see Romeo Doubs come back. I think he has a chance to come back this week, right? So I think it'll be interesting to see him and Watson out there at one, because we really haven't seen them. Maybe there was one or two games where Watson and Romeo were out at the same time. But I would like to see them both be on the field and see kind of how that opens up the offense. And like you said, run the ball. Definitely get Dylan in there and, feed Aaron Jones just like every week. So.
Yeah, I think especially with their offense, I really liked how we overperformed like our offensive perspective. Like we started running the ball, you get guys wide open. Like you create plays like gadget plays. Like I know it was Jordan Levy threw to Watson, but like heck, that was a great play for like that. And then Nagler's favorite play I remember was that screen past Aaron Jones. He goes out and he got blockers there. Where that play, I remember when the Packers played the Eagles that 2020 COVID season. That was the same play where David Bakhtiari just runs down the field and beats Aaron Jones to the touchdown.
Oh yeah.
That was like
he became a meme on Reddit for that.
Yes, he was I think it was Giraffe was. I don't know if that was the meme or not, but yeah, it was. That was like one of my favorite plays. Watching, I'm like, all right, if they can do like kind of gadget plays, setup plays, then we should be good. We got to take care of business. I mean, it's Rodgers against the Bears. He owns the Bears. He's the owner of Chicago, but you still got to take care of business. We always own Dallas and Chicago. That's always been the case for us. But no, that's what I got to say about the Packers offense. The defense wise, they have to contain. That's the biggest question to me. Like they basically broke the Colin Kaepernick record of that playoff game, like 2012, 2013. I don't know. That was like very annoying. Like, why am I getting like deja vu of like the Colin Kaepernick days of like the run defense? So like so many missed tackles too. Like when they basically had on the first drive with the Jalen Hurts, he literally just like breaks Quay Walker's ankles and no tackles are made when you have to make the tackles. Those are like key mistakes. You got to do a better job of making the tackles. That's like fundamentals. And Joe Burry mentioned it in the this week's press conference. Like we got to go back to fundamentals and got to get the job done. Like that's the thing that I'm a little annoyed with the defense. Like yes, we don't have Devondre Campbell. We don't have like all of our guys, but again, overcome the adversity. Do your job, get the fundamentals right, and we got this. Like that's what I gotta say for the defense wise, though.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Dre might come back this week. Let's hope he comes back. But no, I think keeping contained is big, and I've been a big proponent of Quay Walker. I would love to hear what you guys think about his performance. But he didn't really keep contained much last game, and as an inside linebacker, that's a big job of yours. So I think if Devondre Campbell was on the field last week, there might have been definitely different results that we saw. But I'd love to hear what you guys thought about Quay Walker, because there's some plays that he really flashes where he makes a big hit on somebody or he's in the right place at the right time. He had that fumble return that almost went for a touchdown. If Jair would have blocked, it seemed like Jair almost told him to like slow down so he could set up a block for him, and then just forgot to block Jalen Hurts coming off. So I don't know. Quay has those flashes, but I haven't yet seen him really be consistent. I think Herman, I was listening to him this week. He said like he's kind of like Josh Myers, where he'll have some plays where you think he's the best center in the league, and then if you forget about those plays and watch the other 60% or 70% of plays, he's terrible. So we just need more consistency from these young guys, and I think that comes with time. But I'd love to hear what you guys think about the young guys, because I think the one consistent player we have on this team right now is Christian Watson, and he's young. So, I would love to see some consistency from some other people.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Myers, like you said, has been really up and down this year. Has, like you also said, like he has had like a few plays a game where you're like, wow, this is like amazing play by Josh Myers, looking like himself, looks like he's finally turning the corner, and then you actually look back and you're like, wow, he's having another rough game. But yeah, and then Quay Walker had the rough game versus Philadelphia. With the Cowboys Titans game, he was really balling out. It looked like he actually turned the corner and finally was feeling comfortable now at the inside linebacker spot. But hopefully with Devondre Campbell coming back, and hopefully Quay Walker will be in the quarterback spy role versus the Bears, and have Devondre be in Quay's role like he has been since he's been out. So maybe that will change the dynamic on defense. And then Romeo and Watson both have to still keep developing, but they've been excellent when they've been on the field and I cannot wait to see them together on the field at the same time, completely healthy. Be really fun to watch, and we got many more years of watching them too on the field together. So we're just getting a small taste this year.
I agree. That's the one thing I'm really looking forward to taking from this season is our receiving core. I think we definitely have some room to grow there, but I think Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson are two huge pieces. That's really going to have something to build upon. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but kind of when we saw, I was a big proponent of Justin Jefferson coming out of college. Like I think Packers Twitter as a whole was just seeing the potential he had, and it really sucks seeing him go to Minnesota. But I'm really on his side, Justin Jefferson, for the most part, other than the fact that he's on Minnesota. But I see a lot of the same potential from Watson, and I really like Dobbs before he got injured, and I think he has less of a ceiling than Watson, but I think he's going to be a really consistent player moving forward, kind of almost taking like the James Jones role, which would be huge if we had that. So I'm really excited, and that's one thing I really want to see for the remaining of this season is see Jordan Love come in and see how they use Dobbs and Watson both healthy on the field. I think that's something that's going to be really exciting and something we have to look forward to and see kind of what the future of this team is, because the future is going to be young. It's going to be 20-year-old guys. Not going to be – I love Rodgers, but he's not the future of this team anymore. It's going to be young guys who are hungry, who want to get better and want to make this team into a Super Bowl team. I'm excited to see kind of where the rest of the season goes from. I'm not really worried about wins and losses anymore. I feel like it's kind of like a preseason mentality where you're looking at individual players, see development, see people get better. And I think that's what we're looking for now. At least that's what I'll be looking for, not necessarily the end result. Because honestly, at this point, the end result of a loss is probably better for us than a win. I hate to be like that, but there's really nothing to play for anymore other than people getting better. So no one get hurt and see development from the young guys is what I'm hoping to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I kind of compare this season to the 2018 season where we got the young developing receivers, like you had Jair Alexander, like finally getting. So it's like we got all the young pieces, the young team, like you're starting to form the chemistry. It's going to take a process. You just got to trust that process. If you're from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, you know me, trust the process, Sixers fans. You got to trust it, and it'll finally fold. But again, as Mike was mentioning, Rodgers is not going to be here forever. He can't just be here like 90 years old, still throw touchdowns. That's not Tom Brady. Like, you're going to have to let it process, and it's going to suck when he leaves. But then we got Jordan Love, which he showed promise last game, but we got to see a little more of that, like, because he's in his year, the 5th-year option, which they're probably going to pick up. So we got to see what he does, and he could be the next – not Aaron Rodgers, but the next solid kind of Hall of Fame. So we go like Favre, Rodgers, Love, and win a Super Bowl there. I'll be fine with that.
It's going to be tough to pick up his 5th-year option now because of just the Rodgers cap hit. Yeah, I think the 5th-year option is like $15 million or $16 million a year. I think. I just don't know how we're going to pick that up and have Rodgers on the same thing. So like that's the issue here. I don't know, Brennan, what do you see? There's any chance that Love is on this team with Rodgers at the same time? He's in his 4th year now, or I think because they haven't picked up his 5th-year option yet. So I guess after this season is when they have to figure it out.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So I guess he's in his 3rd year because AJ Dillon's in his 2nd year and it was the year before. Yeah. So yeah. So I think this offseason is when they have to determine if they're going to pick up his 5th-year option, which I don't think they can.
Yeah, me and Joey talked about this on our Eagles game recap, I believe. And I pretty much said, like, you cannot pick up Jordan Love's 5th-year option. Right. I just can't see a world where they do. Like, it's like $15 million, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember correctly. But then after what Rodgers does after next year, if he retires, then you sign Love to a contract extension. If not, then let him go off to free agency. Or if you already know that Rodgers is not going to retire, then try to trade him at least at the deadline.
Norman in the chat here has an interesting idea to exercise his option and then extend him, which is interesting. But then, that's if you can extend him, right? If you're not willing to extend him for 5-6 years, which is why, and that very well may be a good idea, but that's why I need to see him play now to determine if it's a good business move to extend him. Is the worst thing you want to do is extend him for another 4 or 5 years and determine he's not your quarterback of the future. And now where you're at, now you have Rodgers, you have Love, and you really don't have a great quarterback because Love doesn't fill that role in that hypothetical scenario. So I think this is really a great opportunity to see where Love is at in his development, if he can be the guy moving forward. And if the Packers determine that, then maybe that is an option. I'm not exactly sure how that would work contract-wise, but I think it'll be interesting. But the information, we need as much information as we can get in order to make a smart decision when it comes to Love. And I think that's kind of priority number one, since Rodgers is here to win a Super Bowl, and unfortunately that's not really on the table anymore. So I think you kind of have to let Rodgers take a back seat and see what we have in the young guys.
Definitely. All right. Do we want to close it out here, Mike?
Sure.
All right. Do you want to do where we can find me? Do we want to start with Brandon? Do you want to go first? Oh no, Mike. We'll let you start first to show, and then Brandon, and then I'll go.
Yeah. No. Just to recap, thank you so much, Brendan, Big B, for joining the show. Jeremy reached out to you in the past week, and it was great to hear that you're interested in coming on. We'd love to have, if anyone's watching, we'd love to have anybody come on. Just feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to get as many Packers voices in the fold and get people's opinions on where the Packers are at, where you see them going. And that's really interesting to us. So, my name is Mike. You can find me on Twitter. I run the PackReacts Twitter page, so feel free to reach out to me there. You can reach out to me on my other Twitter. It's Arvo15. That's my personal Twitter. I do a few meme stuff, and I have an Instagram page as well. It's called Titletown Memes. I don't use that as much. I mainly just put the memes on Twitter because it does more people just find it there. It's harder to build an Instagram page. I'm sure Big B knows that from his Jamal Williams page, but I'm sure you're doing much better than I would. I didn't really post that much, so I'll stick to Twitter. I find Twitter more fun. So yeah, that's it. Really Twitter for me, and then obviously here on PackReacts with Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then you can find me on Instagram at big_Packers and on Twitter at BigPackers4times. And also, like I think we mentioned before, me and my good friend Joey run the Underage Packers podcast. You can pretty much find that anywhere where you listen to your podcast. Also on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, and I think TikTok as well, and Facebook.
And in the Packers trivia chat move,
of course,
on Cheesehead TV.
Also,
any Packers Daily or anything that Aaron Nagler is involved in, you'll find Big B. He's a very easy guy to find.
All right, guys, you know where to find me on the YouTube channel here, of course. You can follow me on YouTube. I do Twitter maybe once in a while, but I really just run it with Mike and just let Mike post whatever he wants to do, especially that Mike Ferrer meme you did a couple weeks ago with that thing. That's, and then just channel wise, probably gonna do some top 10 quarterback of all time, of see who's the greatest quarterbacks all time, and then more in the off season of the NFL, I'm gonna go top 5 or 3 of each position and rank who I think is the best at each position, safety, nickel, et cetera, that. And then I still have to do my working the Baltimore Ravens vlog game. I still got to do that, and then do my reaction to Phillies going to the World Series too. So yes, that'll be it. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. And trying to get the sub count to 230. We already got to 200. So hopefully by next month, by the end of Christmas, we might get 230. So that's why it would help. So yeah.
All right. Sign off with our usual here.
Yes.
All right. Go Pack Go on 3. All right. 3, 2, 1. Go Pack Go.